With 10 important vitamins and minerals, it's part of this balanced breakfast. Cocoa Puffs.
Fruity Pebbles, a big tasting part of this complete breakfast. Try a spoon, Bon. Fruity Pebbles.
Be happy, be healthy.
So they can be great part of a complete breakfast.
Seriously?
I love me Lucky Charms. They're magically delicious.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch, part of this good breakfast. Crave those crazy squares.
The great taste of Kellogg's Fruit Loops.
Follow your nose.
Cereal, cereal, cereal. Seemingly the easiest aisle to locate in the grocery store, and the hardest aisle to try and leave empty-handed. Eating cereal not only in the United States, but in the countries worldwide for breakfast and even as a snack has increasingly become more common. As of 2017, 43% of consumers in the United States eat cereal for a snack, and 89% eat cereal for breakfast. As prevalence of eating cereal for breakfast increases domestically and globally, it is imperative to observe the target consumers for many cereal brands, which are typically children or the parents of children at least. Breakfast cereal brands in the United States most aggressively and most frequently marketed towards young children are usually the least nutritional balanced, with companies such as Kellogg spending close to $800 million USD on advertising. It implies reason to study the strategies companies are utilizing. By studying the various marketing strategies, processing methodology, and grain types, there is a possibility of not only finding the best method or strategy for selling more breakfast cereal, but also being able to construct strategies to utilize for selling breakfast cereals with more functional benefits. As a citizen of the United States, eating cereal for breakfast was an integral part of the morning since schools typically had an option for breakfast. My family in particular eat mostly Kellogg branded cereals, and going down the cereal is in almost any grocery store, Kellogg dominates most of the shelf space. I was fortunate to be selected for an internship at Kellogg's Research and Development Headquarters in Battle Creek, Michigan. Here, I was able to watch numerous products within Kellogg's product portfolio, including a few varieties of cereals such as Rice Krispies and Mini Wheats. Within the Research and Development building, there was an area called the Food Hub, which had shelves of all Kellogg's cereals and snacks. And within this area, one can truly see the diversity of colors, mascots, health claims, and cereal materials and processing methods, which would this lay the foundation of the selected topic. It is the hope of this study to achieve the objective set and provide a usable model of implementation for cereal brands. Now we will move on to the data collection and sampling section. So, due to the diverse breakfast cereal options offered in the United States, consumer market, and the uniqueness of the tested variables, such as the mascot type, there was not a pre-constructed data set containing the variables that could be found. A total of 100 unique breakfast cereal samples were found, and the data was taken from companies that made the breakfast cereals utilized in the dataset created. The selected breakfast cereals came from 4 companies: Kellogg's, Post, General Mills, and Quaker Oats. These 4 companies produced the majority of breakfast cereal options in the US-centric market. A 2017 Statista report stated that Kellogg's owns approximately 30% of the breakfast cereal market share, with General Mills at 29.85%, Post Holdings at 18.92%, and all other private label brands at 7.48%. For the sampling method, stratified random sampling will be utilized. Firstly, all cereal brands owned by Kellogg, Post, General Mills, and Quaker Oats will be listed according to the company, then recorded in the sampling frame. This will be repeated for all collected cereal brands to be grouped by color of box, type of mascot, target population, cereal processing method, and grain type. Considering the number of samples, a random selection of 85 unique cereal brands were selected from a combination of each company and qualitative variable category. Now, bias is always going to come into play in terms of doing research. In this particular study, the primary bias would be that this subject or this research implicates is the sources and the companies utilized to collect samples due to the US-centric skew, which excludes the multitude of international cereal brands. Sampling issues could be caused due to a lack of distribution of information concerning the variables tested. For example, as the 49% of breakfast cereals in the studies that does not have a mascot could potentially lead to the samples drawn having a majority of no mascots, and may lead to false conclusions when the analysis is interpreted. But these potential issues will be continued to be accounted for through the duration of the statistical analysis. These possible outcomes will be the results of performing a study to determine if cereal brands are utilizing either marketing design strategies, specific processing method, or nutritional content to sell cereals, and this will be accomplished through various statistical testing. Now, the first area of analysis is to determine if there are any conjectures between the qualitative variables in the study. The first of the hypotheses tested was that there is a statistical correlation between the target population and the majority grain type in the breakfast cereals of the study. Now, we can see here in Figure 1 of Table 1 that there seems to be an association between the grain type and the target population of breakfast cereals. In particular, the majority of corn-based breakfast cereals are used to target children, while 48.4% of wheat-based cereals are targeted towards health-conscious consumers. The next hypothesis tested was there is a statistical correlation between the target population and the absence and or type of mascot type utilized. Now, we can see and look here at Table 2 and Figure 2 that there seems to be an association between the mascot type and the target population of the breakfast cereals. In particular, the majority of humanoid mascot types are used to target children, while 77.4% of cereal brands do not utilize a mascot if they are targeting more health-conscious individuals. Two qualitative variables stated that there is a statistical correlation between the target population and the breakfast cereal box color. Next, we can look at Table 3 and Figure 3, and there seems to be an association between the color of the cereal box and the target population of the breakfast cereals. In particular, brown color is the highest percentage of color used to target children according to the study, which is seemingly odd, but red and blue are close seconds at 17.6% each, which seems to be more on target. For more health-conscious consumers, yellow is the primary color utilized at 16.1%. And for indulgence seekers, blue is the primary color utilized for marketing purposes. Next for discussion are the quantitative variables. The three most important of these at this point in the study is the total carbohydrates, calories, and price of the cereal. The mean, standard deviation, standard error, coefficient of variation, and the 5-number summary were extrapolated, and a box plot was utilized as a form of descriptive statistics for the ease of digestibility of the data collected. First is the variable of calorie content of the breakfast cereals in the study. As can be seen in the bar plot, the shape is skewed to the left and contains several outliers, which are displayed as white circles. For calories, the only outlier was the cereal Special K chocolate dipped flakes with almonds, due to it containing 250 calories per serving, while at the lower end, the lowest having 110 calories, setting this one off as an outlier in the study overall. Next is the variable of price of the breakfast cereals and is utilized in the study. As can be seen in the bar plot, the shape is skewed to the right. It also contains no outliers. As in terms of the coefficient of variation, this variable, the variable of price, has the lowest one in accordance to the other two that were tested in conjecture with this one. Sitting at a CV of 11.9, this one had the lowest of the other two. Last of the quantitative variables is that of the total carbohydrates of each one of the breakfast cereals. As can be seen in the bar plot, the shape is symmetrical and contains several outliers. For total carbohydrates, the outliers were Special K chocolate dipped flakes with almonds, Frosted Mini Wheat cinnamon roll, both of them with 50 grams of total carbohydrates, and then Frosted Mini Wheat strawberry, Frosted Mini Wheats, Frosted Mini Wheats blueberry muffin, and Wheat Chex with 51 grams of total carbohydrates each. Now, as this brief presentation comes to an end, one must think about what would be the next steps in an analysis such as this. Now, due to the range of variables tested for comparison, there is a need for additional statistical analysis to come forth later. And then the next steps can then be established overall, and the study can then be completed to a certain extent. Firstly, we will be to test for any conjecture between several combinations of qualitative and quantitative variables. Combinations, for example, of the price of the cereal to the grain type utilized, the total calories of each one of the cereal boxes or cereal types, and the target population, and then the price of the cereal to that of the color of the box. Now, these are just several of the qualitative to quantitative variable combinations that we can utilize for statistical analysis, and all of which should be tested to give the best conclusions drawn. The testing of these variable combinations are essential to trying to answer informed conclusions concerning the remaining hypothesis and the possible hypothesis to be tested later. The results will be drawn from the utilization of side-by-side mean bar plots with error bars and group box plots to hopefully visualize some of the conjecture as mentioned above. Also, the utilization of t-tests and ANOVA will provide information concerning the significance of the variable combinations that are tested. More analysis will need to be done to access the viability of the quantitative variables' usefulness in the overall study, but also to be utilized in conjunction with quantitative variable data collected. Seemingly moving forward, there's a lot of variables that are attached in terms of marketing strategies utilized by cereal companies and cereal brands. And to further analyze each one of these combinations, a very thorough investigation into what combinations will be most fruitful in providing the most evidence necessary to be able to draw those conclusions concerning the utilization of marketing strategies and also how they target certain consumers with those marketing strategies. So moving forward, those are the things, those type of questions that will need to be answered as the study keeps moving forward. Thank you.
Milk and cereal, cereal and milk, milk and cereal, 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 milk and cereal, cereal and milk, cereal and milk, cereal and milk, cereal and milk.